Well, it's been a while, and I actually did not plan to come back today. I've been taking a bit of a break for myself, but unfortunately, we've got some important things to talk about in this video. And I say unfortunately because I've got something personal to talk about, but also there's a poll going on my Instagram in my story right now that's pretty important for Bionicle fans out there because it could decide something to come in the future. And the poll, spoiling it very, very briefly, looks like this. We'll talk about that in a moment. Also, I'm going to be showing you at the end of this video how to build this little dragon head right here, because I love this dragon head build so much, specifically the piece it revolves around. Stay tuned for that. But of course, the important thing about this video is why I'm making it today, of all things, because we just had a storm pass through that was pretty devastating. Unfortunately, thankfully, I am okay. My mom is okay. In fact, my family is all okay. But unfortunately, we did sustain quite a bit of damage, notably our shed, where we lost a pretty big chunk of the roof. And so we now have to fix the roof. I'm going to be doing that. But also several of the items inside are they're a loss, right? Because of that, I wanted to go ahead and just put my PayPal information of all things down in the description below. It's not something I feel very comfortable doing, but at the same time, I know that I cannot do this entirely without your support. Of course, all support is always appreciated for the channel. I usually post Patreon down there, but in this case, it's just not going to be enough. So if that is something you can help to support with, it is greatly appreciated. Everything helps. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. Very briefly here, are you somebody who has ever wanted to build the 2008 Takanuva set, but in colors like pearl gold or flat gold, like the classic set? Well, you can't, unfortunately. You're one piece closer, though. Here's the thing. Are you somebody who's ever wanted to build the 2003 Takanuva set, but in his shadow form? Now, you can do this. I mean, you can't. Like, Lego didn't make this piece, but you can. See, here's the thing. This is not a Lego piece, but it's not a painted piece either. It's not 3D printed. It's not resin cast. It is plastic. This is an injection molded piece, and you've probably seen it already if you're in the community, because this piece, along with many others, were produced by a member of the community known as Kenny Mox. They also have a channel dedicated specifically to them on the Discord server. More about that in a future video. But that said, they have produced this mask and 5 others, along with the How and the Kraahkan from before. So they have like 7 total masks, I think, if my number is correct. It's wild. And not just in gunmetal, not just in pearl gold, not just in flat gold, silver, but even like Metru colors, Mata colors, Chiraga colors, colors that never saw production in Bionicle at all, like magenta, colors that never saw masks, like dark tan. Yeah, you can build yourself a dark tan Faiku now, and it looks so good. I love it so much. But they not only made the Avohkii in this, and I have to say, the quality on this is superb. For one thing, this is ABS, or at least it's an ABS-like plastic. It's not the polypropylene, so it's not as prone to being scratched up, which is wonderful because it means I can have pieces like this that aren't damaged from like 15 years of abuse, right? And still have to pay like 15 or 20 bucks for it when I could pay 5 and get one made of ABS plastic that's a perfect match for Lego's gunmetal. Why would I ever buy the official one again? And again, the quality of it is incredible. It looks and feels like the real Lego piece. I mean, aside from the difference in feeling between ABS and polypropylene because they're different plastics, but you get the idea, right? It's lovely to have these, but this isn't all they made. They didn't just make the Avohkiis and say, all right, we're done. No, I'm talking about the movie edition of the Kraahkan as well, which is a lovely mask. It's not my personal favorite, but if you ever wanted it in the prototype colors, like Mata green or tan, that's an option for you now. If you've ever wanted the Huna in the prototype color silver, that's an option for you now. If you've ever wanted the Vahi in black, because it looks so good in black, I've owned it in black as a resin cast, and I love it. I love it so much. I want it again. I don't have it anymore. I had to sell it way back when to a friend of mine, but I do regret it. And it's a lovely mask. So if you are somebody who is interested in purchasing any of these, I don't get any support from this. I just do this because I love Bionicle, obviously. I will leave a link for Kenny Mox's store in the description below. But wait, there's more, because if you're in the US or if you're in Canada, it's a little expensive to order from Kenny Mox because of international shipping, among other things, plus tariffs. Point being, thankfully, there are buyers here in the US who have bought these masks in bulk to sell at a better rate even. So Zion Tyros, who I've already talked about on this channel before, as well as Bionicle, which I don't know if I mentioned them on the channel, but they are selling masks in the US, Zion Tyros Custom Wears, and in Canada, Bionicle specifically, hopefully I pronounced that right, by the way, and they're selling them at a crazy price, because getting a mask like this, and not just this one, right? Like this one's gunmetal, you'd expect it to be cheaper. It's like $5, maybe it's less because it's gunmetal, I honestly have no idea, but the other masks, somewhere between like $5 and $8. It depends on what mask and what finish it is, because like drum lacquer things tend to cost more because there's extra processing that goes in that. Glow in the dark stuff probably costs more as well. Again, I understand all of that, and it's worth noting, ABS masks are incredible in terms of the durability. Like, they feel like a real piece. You will be happy to own them. But it is also worth noting too that they're expensive to manufacture, because they're not made with a silicone mold like resin cast masks are. A silicone mold for me, if I want to make a resin cast, costs me like $2 or $3 to make a mold, and that means I can experiment with it without too much of a loss if something goes wrong. But these masks are made with a machined metal mold that can cost $10,000 or more to make. So like, they're putting a lot of love into this, is the point I'm trying to make. They make sure they get every detail right. So that's a good sign for us. And the fact that you can get these masks for $5 instead of 10 or 15 or 20, and that's not to undersell any of the resin casters out there. I am a resin caster myself, but I have to recognize talent where it is. I have to recognize quality where it is. So of course, support your fellow resin casters if you so choose, because like, you should. It's a wonderful craft. I love designing masks, or designing, you're right, making masks like the Beast mask here in Metru green and trans green. It's a lovely piece, and Lego never made it, so I did. Why not, right? But it's also lovely to go out there and support people making these plastic masks, because plastic is superior in a lot of ways. There are things resin casting can do. Anyway, getting ahead of myself. So I talked about a poll, and this is the poll here. It is in my Instagram story, and I do not want to talk about it too much, because I know if I talk about it too much, I'm going to reveal my bias. So I just want you to go check out the Instagram story. Link for Instagram down in the description. So many links in the description today. Do check out the ones that are relevant to you. But in this case here, we're talking about potentially these masks being produced in the future. So hopefully you can glean enough information from this here. Go put your vote in now. It should be live for at least like the next 18 hours. I can put an extension on that if I need to, but it's very helpful for us to know which of these masks will be in the next run. So if you've ever wanted Turaga masks, the G2 mask or whatever, in new colors like magenta, or in dark tan, but also in like mata colors. If you ever wanted a white Huna, right, or a brown Komao, but you don't want to pay an arm and a leg, this is an option. And I love that this is an option. A yellow Ruru, etc., right? So I am so happy for this. Dark blue Matatu, dark red Huna, etc. You know that those are prototypes. Like, I want them. Trans blue Rao, etc. All right, let's go ahead and hop off of this now. Once again, link for that in the description. Link for all the masks you've seen in this video and more in the description as well. And lastly, once again, before I do the dragon thing, just again shouting out the link for PayPal stuff in the description as well. Thank you ahead of time if anybody goes ahead and looks into that as well. This build right here revolves around one of my favorite pieces from the last, I want to say, like 2-3 years at least, and probably the closest to like a Bionicle-like piece. Adjusting lighting here in a moment when OBS decides to cooperate with me, so you can see the details of it better, because this piece is glorious. A nice matte finish on it, a nice texture to it as well, and it really feels like something that could have easily been seen, especially in like the later years of Bionicle or in Hero Factory as well. It's why I use it for my Izrakoth build, which is why I got the Keat Orange one first. And it's lovely that this piece comes in Keat Orange, but it also comes in red. This head comes in red. It comes in dark azure. This doesn't, but it comes in medium blue, so you're pretty close there as well. And it comes in pearl gold and will be, as far as I can tell, unless something drastic changes, coming in white as well. Kind of a prediction I made, but I'm not going to toot my own horn here. So how do you build this? Well, it's 8 pieces. It is very, very easy to build, thankfully. None of the pieces terribly rare, terribly expensive. Granted, the Exoforce arms I'm using in this build are bootlegs, so they are quite fragile, unfortunately, but just take note of that. It's also worth noting, too, that the Exoforce arms are going to be the color of your eye in this case, so choose that color wisely. Thankfully, they come in about 1 billion colors. But you are just taking an Exoforce arm, just like this one here, and I'm using red for the eye color on this, and you're taking a little T pneumatic junction here. I'm using black because this represents the pupil. You could do whatever colors are available for this. I think white's out there, obviously like light gray, etc., right? Just go ahead and plug it into the side of the Exoforce arm. By the way, that's a connection if you didn't know about it. LEGO uses it. I assume most people know, but some people don't, and it's kind of surprising, so always good to figure that stuff out. And then you're going to go ahead and close it off by connecting the Exoforce arm on the other side. Note that my second one is broken there, so as I mentioned, they are fragile at some points. Anyway, this assembly, just like this orientation right here, is going to go inside this head because it's going to be attaching to these two bars right here. A little hard to see if I put my finger directly in front of them, but hopefully you can see that. And it's going in just like this orientation here, so go ahead and click that in and make sure it can fold all the way inside here. Now you can see them through the eyes. You can even see the little black pupil, and that is thanks to that junction which is sticking out from the bottom here. Now for that little piece right here, just connect your socket just like this, and the socket will rest in between these two little flaps that are the hinge joint for the piece it was actually designed to fit in, and it kind of clips in place, so it works out really well. And then the second assembly here, which is a very simple one, I gotta get this little piece off, is just using another pneumatic bar. This time it is just a 2-length bar with a stop in the middle, and then this build right here, which is just one thin lift arm, 2-length lift arm, connected to one of these little slicer feet pieces. A little hard for me to hold that on camera here, but go ahead and push that through until the stopper hits that lift arm there. What's interesting here is that doesn't connect to any actual connections in here, but rather the Exoforce arms are spaced apart perfectly to hit like a bar's length gap between them. It's very hard to see because they're red, and my camera does not like the color red at all. But if I can go ahead and pull this piece out just a teeny tiny bit here, you'll go ahead and see that there's a gap. Maybe. Yeah, between those two Exoforce arms where that junction is and directly in front of it. And it's going to connect right there in front. So all you do to connect it is just take the bar, insert it into the gap between those two arms, and it just connects. And that's it. You now have yourself a little dragon head with a bottom jaw and with a ball joint connection that is actually pretty solid there as well. This assembly here is a little bit weaker. It definitely can hold itself in, no issue. You could change the bar out for something like a flame or whatever if you've got something that's long enough to fit in there, but it is a lovely build nonetheless, and it looks just so good. Again, Keith orange, dark azure, and medium blue if the bottom is a different color obviously, and then red for this head. Pearl gold works as well. You just have to change the bottom to socket and this piece here, and then when white comes out, this is fully buildable in white as well. It's lovely. I hope you did enjoy the video last time. Check out the links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe. Helps out the channel. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.